of fate.
This is the way. Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Tells me when you'll remember this.
Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and today I'm joined by a friend of the show, Amanda, aka AMX NDA Reviews on Instagram, Letterboxd, and Twitter. And today we're going to be giving our spoiler-free thoughts and insights on Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret. And before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter at FilmOptix. That is Optix with an X. Or you can email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie-related questions. Did I get your intro right? That's usually what you say, yeah?
You nailed it. Nailed it. I was like, damn, you did it pretty good. It was great.
I was like, that's usually what she says, I'm pretty sure. I hear it so many times. I'm like, I got this feel. But how have you been? How's your week been? And what have you been watching? What's going on in your life?
Oh, wow. We're going to get deep. I've
been
been
good.
No, I've been good. I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff. I've been watching more television, so you'd be proud of me.
That's okay.
Good. I've been binge watching. I binge watched Dead Ringers. I binge watched Beef. I watched Citadel.
Ooh.
What else did I do?
Deep cuts.
I binge watched The Diplomat. I know. Diplomat was really stellar on Netflix. But yeah, all TV. I've been slowing down on movies for whatever reason, but I watched Evil Dead Rise. Sorry. Yes, that one. Yeah, Tuesday I watched.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it's
Great
a whole
stuff.
assortment of stuff and things. But yeah, I loved Evil Dead.
Feel
It was so good.
I have not been watching a lot of television, unfortunately, but
we traded places. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm not even we're watching movies, but I'm moving soon, so I'm kind of trying to get everything together. So I did watch all of Beef. I did do that. I watched Peter Pan and Wendy. I thought that was very, very good. Very surprising. I was like, oh wow, this is actually really good. What else did I watch? What else did I watch outside of Margaret? God, what else did I watch? I mean, Mandalorian, I've been keeping up on that. Ted Lasso, I'm 2 episodes behind. I got to get on that as well. I need to watch Succession altogether. I need to do that. I need to watch Yellow Jackets. I still have a lot of things on my list that I need to watch. I'm just trying to get through this move, and then I can kind of, stop watching Seinfeld reruns all the time. So, well, my TV's packed up right now, so it's not like I can just, plop on the couch. Yeah. So it is what it is. But yeah, I'm glad you're doing well, Amanda. I'm glad you're doing well.
You too.
But yeah, for all of our listeners out there, we're going to be giving our spoiler-free thoughts on Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret. We're going to get into our initial reactions first. Then we're going to talk about some of our favorite female-centric coming-of-age films and what we recommend to our listeners who may want to see this movie. It's like, hey, there's a few others similar to it that might get you pumped up for it. Then we're going to get to our final thoughts and our ratings for the film Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret. And then we will close on out. So, Amanda, are you ready to get into this review?
I'm so excited. I am.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further delay, we'll be right back after this introduction to Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret.
If you ever want to get out of those small bras, you're going to have to do the same exercise and technique I do. There's an exercise? Of course there is. You hold your arms out like this and you say, I must increase my bust. I must increase my bust.
Does that really work?
I'm living proof. Now come on, get up. Get up, get up, get up. You'll see. Get up. I must I must increase my bust. I must increase my bust. Chin up. We must increase our bust. We must increase our bust. We must increase our bust. Shut up. You're so stupid. Shut up.
Feel it working.
Mom!
And we are back. You just heard a little clip from Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret. This film is written and directed by Kelly Fremon Craig, with writing credits going to Judy Blume, of course, because this movie is based off the book of the same name. And the synopsis is as follows. When her family moves from the city to the suburbs, 11-year-old Margaret navigates new friends' feelings at the beginning of adolescence. And this movie stars Abby Ryder of Fortson, Rachel McAdams, and Kathy Bates, just to name a few. So, as I mentioned before, we're going to get into our initial reactions first, which is our non-spoiler section. We're not going to be talking about spoilers here today because there's not much here to spoil. It's just a wonderful coming-of-age film, a day in the life of Margaret Simon altogether. So, I'm going to pass it over to Amanda so she can give her initial reactions to the movie. So, Amanda, take it away.
Yeah. So I read the book for the first time this year because I have been writing for Maud Garrett. She has her own book club, so it's Maud's Book Club. So what I've been doing, instead of just reviewing movies, I've been reviewing adaptations. So I've been reading a lot this year, and I'm very happy. But what I found so interesting is that the Judy Blume novels, they weren't really accessible in Catholic schools. They didn't want her books anywhere like near schools in general, but I went to Catholic school, so I never grew up reading her novels, which was really unfortunate because that book was like, I don't know, 170 pages, and reading it as an adult is a completely different experience than reading it as like a 12-year-old girl. So I think that having a movie based on this book is really important for young girls anywhere. I'm not saying that young boys can't watch this and feel something and resonate with certain characters, but this is for little girls, and they talk about so much. There's so many social issues, so many women's issues that are presented in this movie that just warmed my heart. It was wholesome. It was sweet. It was emotional. I cried a couple of times throughout. Because sometimes you don't realize that even you had gone through something like around that same age. And then you're watching this movie, you're like, oh my God, I remember what it was like to be like 10, 11 or like 12. And it just takes you back. I think that was what Kelly Fremon Craig did so incredibly well, is that she really put the audience, the viewer, into the mindset of this 12-year-old girl praying to God that she'd become a woman. And it was absolutely hilarious to me, among like other things of talking about like religious issues as well. So there's so many things in this movie that we can talk about for days because there's still relevant social issues that everyone's faced with, but it's such a well-rounded coming of age story, and I absolutely loved it. I loved it so much.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with you there. Obviously, I am not a woman, but I love this movie. I'm a big coming of age film fan, and The Edge of 17 is like one of my favorites like of all time. And of course, Kelly Fremon Craig directed that as well. So if you're a fan of that movie, you'll definitely be a fan of this. Obviously, that was dealing more of like the mid-teenager with Haley Steinfeld's character. Altogether. It still had a lot of emotional beats, but so does this. And it tackles a lot of subjects that I did not know, not from the women's side, because I kind of got that from the trailer, but when it comes to religion as well. I've never read a Judy Blume novel before. I used to read Junie B. Jones. I'm not sure if you know.
Me too. I read Judy B. Jones. Sorry, that was so loud, but yes, I read Judy B. Jones.
No, you're totally fine. Yeah, I think it was just, it was just one of the series that, my mom was like, oh, he needs to read about women too. So I guess that's where it came from. But when it comes to Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was wonderfully paced, 100%. And it's, you know, it really just shows the hardships of what an 11-year-old girl has to go through at that age, because, you know, they're obviously their bodies are starting to develop, you know, they're going through puberty and whatnot. So this is a very crucial age for them, but also it shows I guess you could say the stereotypical pressures that, you know, girls have to grow up with, because, you know, they see these women in like Playboy magazines, like which was featured in the movie. Maybe not the best example, but we can, you know, like Vanity Fair or, you know, something else, Victoria's Secret, something like that. You know, they see these, you know, these older models, and it's like, oh man, like, you know, I want to look like that when I grow up. And what I liked about this movie, just from the get-go, you know, they didn't, you know, no one was like weird, like, you know, it wasn't like the main character was like weirdly more like better looking than the rest of the cast. Like they all just look like teenage girls. You know what I mean? Like I've noticed that in a few things. I'm like, why does this person look like significantly, you know, just more pretty up than the other? I don't really know how to phrase it.
Or
altogether,
older. No, I get
older,
what you're saying. It was like, it kind of, not to cut you off, I'm just going to jump in because I've noticed that too, where especially in today's climate where everyone wants to look like a Kylie Jenner, like Kylie was looking like Kylie at the age of 19. So I think seeing an actual 11-year-old or 13-year-old look like how I used to look like at 13, with like really weird dress choices and like, you know, just like, you know, playing around with makeup, and like it's just a different, like more childlike approach to the way that they cast everyone. And they're not making them older as, you know, as they shouldn't be at that age, you know? And I think that really helped, especially because they had to balance out with the other girl named Laura Danker, who like I really like connected with. Like she had to go through a lot because she developed early. So it was kind of like two-sided in that case. I didn't mean to like jump in, but I'm just saying like that's definitely what it is. We get 21-year-olds playing 16-year-olds. So it's weird to see a 13-year-old playing a 13-year-old. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I want to see, you know, a person who is 11, 13 actually be that age. And yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head when it comes to, you know, it's like, you know, the age up effect. Like watch like the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, and like clearly those kids are not in high school. Like Tobey Maguire was like 24 years old. And I'm like, why is a man, I never really understood that, but it's like, yeah, you see that a lot. And when you saw with Edge of 17, I forgot how old Haley Seinfeld was around there. She might've been around 16, 17 years old. Because she's on the younger side. I think she's like 24, 25 now.
She is, because I think she was 16 when she was in True Grit, and she was like a star in that. She was supporting.
She was 16? I thought she was younger than that.
She could have been. I'm not 100% sure. But you are right that like she started young, and she's also someone that looks older than she is.
Yeah. Yeah. And for some people, it's just genetics. You know, that's just the way, you know, things are. But in general, I really love that movie. But yeah, when it comes to this Margaret movie, I guess we'll call it as a shorthand, I really enjoyed seeing just 11-year-old girls being 11-year-old girls and worrying about like the small stuff. You know, they're trying to one up on each other when it comes to like, you know, these secret clubs. Like everyone has a secret club when it came to like either being a boy or girl. But like with girls, I feel like it is more pressure because, you know, you see that with Margaret where she is trying to, you know, go the no socks rule. I was like, that is the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life. But it was so funny because like it was kind of a bit of a running gag throughout the movie. And then, you know, her trying to impress with not wearing socks, and, you know, everyone's trying to see, oh, who's going to get their period first. And then it's like, it's so funny because we see, you know, obviously one of Margaret's friends tries to one up everyone else. But when it actually happens to her, it is a natural response to your body changing in that way. Obviously, you know, for women, but when Margaret finds out, she's like, oh, wow, she does have emotion. Like, she is scared when it comes to certain things. And it's like, it happens. And, you see Margaret get hers later on with her own period, and she's kind of weirdly excited, but I was like, cool, that's awesome. I love those natural responses. I think any guy who watches this, it's, if you don't know, how a woman's body changes, it's like, you shouldn't feel uncomfortable going to see this movie is what I'm trying to say.
No, like at all. I know guys who are still like grossed out about it, but that's a point that you brought up, is that she was so excited to get her period. And then when she did get it, it wasn't like she was like overhyped, if that makes sense. Like she realized that, I think it's that realization where like, holy Lord, I have to become a woman now. And then the implications that has. And then that's why like even the way Rachel McAdams, who was phenomenal in this movie, she's amazing and I miss her so much, and played her mom. Her response to like her getting her period is like, you're finally a woman, but like, I'm also scared for you. And like that fine line is just something that is carried throughout the entire film with any subject matter that they're trying to have a conversation about. But most importantly, even with the periods, even with like Nancy Wheeler, she lied about getting it. Right. Yeah. And then she was like, well, why would you lie about getting it? It's not that great. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not the most wonderful thing. Like, so then when she actually did get it, she was terrified. She's like, of course, like it's a 10-year-old girl or an 11-year-old girl, and your body's like doing things that like, it brings you pain. Your hormones are out of whack. Like you do not have a handle on anything, and it's bloody terrifying. It's so scary. I remember like, I don't know what this is like, Tim, but like when I got it, like I got cards from like every single woman in my life congratulating me. Wow. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm happy about this. I was like, why are you guys, like, it's a weird rite of passage, right? And I think you're right. People need to, guys more like out of everyone, have to be more comfortable having these conversations, because then that can prompt men and like young boys to be open about conversations about their own body. On top of that, it's not just like women openly speaking for young girls. It's also like this opens doors for young men as well, who may be struggling with their own body image or, their own changes as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It's an important subject that I think people just, we're all adults, at least, I hope that people, for the most part, listening to this podcast are, but it's, I don't know. Anytime, like even for Turning Red, that was a great allegory for, a woman entering, womanhood or a girl entering womanhood and, getting her period. And it's like, we learned about this in health class. Like ever since I was like, God, like what, 6th, 7th grade? It's like, I've known about this my whole life. I never felt like uncomfortable about it, because it's like, it's a part of, the natural progression of like, a woman's life when it comes to that. It's just your body doing what it's supposed to do. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this a lot. It was great. And I've been trying to get people to like, hey, you got to go see it this weekend. Like, this is a lot of fun. There's tons of other, female-centric coming-of-age recommendations out there. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, was there anything else you wanted to mention in our initial reaction section before we head into a few recommendations for the listeners out there?
I loved Kathy Bates in this too. I think that's a big thing. Yeah.
Oh, that another thing, and I'm sorry, in the religion aspect when it comes to.
Yeah, we can go ahead. Yeah.
I thought that was very interesting. I'm a Christian. Shocker. I know, because my name is Christian. It's crazy. But I thought it was really interesting because I didn't know anything about this book. I didn't even know it was turned into a book beforehand. And I was like, okay, I thought it was so interesting that, she walks like two religious paths where, her parents are together. Obviously, within the movie, you find out that Rachel McAdams' parents like kind of disowned her when she married a Jewish man. And, I've known a few friends from high school who are kind of in the same situation. Some of their parents just celebrated both, and it was what it was. They weren't really, like pushing their kids to do one or the other. It was kind of just up to the child, much like it is with Margaret. But I really like that aspect where it's, there's even, this is like what, back in the 70s, I think it was, or 60s.
Yeah, I think even with the hairstyles, it kind of looked like mid 70s like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, religion back then was just such a big deal. And it's like, obviously, you have Judaism and Christianity, which, there's a lot of contradictory there. But the fact that they were able to show a couple that, came from two walks of life together and kind of set aside, the differences in religion, because, you are who you are as a person, even like, when it comes to your religion, I'm not going to get into it, but I thought it was really interesting that they really tackled that within the film, and how that kind of brings Margaret to her school project, where she kind of sort of becomes just like almost an atheist in a way, because, her parents wanted her to choose when she got old enough. But, she was praying to God throughout the entire movie, hoping certain things would happen. But she was getting very annoyed with a lot of her new friends, moving to a new city and whatnot. And it worked out for her all in the end. But I think it was interesting how an 11-year-old girl came to that conclusion just all by her own, which I thought was insane, because it's like, you don't really see that, because usually, your parents imprint as much stuff as they can onto their children, which isn't a bad thing, depending on if you have good parents or not. But I really liked how, her mom was just like, no, like she's neither. She can decide when she's old enough. But you have the grandparents on both sides, like, oh, have you got baptized yet? Oh, let's go to the temple. I was like, oh, wow, very interesting.
I don't think it was like that preachy. Like sometimes when religion's involved in any type of film, it overpowers other things that are happening, where, like I mentioned before, it was so well-rounded. You covered all the bases of like this 1 year where she had to move from her hometown to a completely different area, and like make friends. And, she had the struggles of like becoming a woman and making, these like lifelong friendships in school and religion on top of that, and going on that journey. But I do think what was so awesome about this is that because she's 11, she doesn't know the history of religion and power and the fighting that had gone on like between multiple religions, like all over the world. Like she doesn't know any of that. So you take it to a really small scale. And there was one thing that she said, is like, well, all it's doing is ending up in like an argument. And that people, it's like divisive. And it's like, you're an 11-year-old not knowing what has happened outside of your own household. And it's just crazy. I don't want to say like to put it to that level, because kids are intelligent. You could see that in Margaret 100%, that she's so smart. But you're dropping it down to a level where everyone can understand that, like, it's, I don't want to say silly to have these fights, but it's like, everyone has their own journey through life, and that this is teaching us like acceptance, And I think that's what's really important too. I just found it interesting that it was like such a small scale, and it's like, she doesn't know what happened out there thousands of years ago. It's like,
does she know?
Like that's what impressed me. It's like, we need to do a PowerPoint presentation.
No, you're right though. I mean, the fact that an 11-year-old girl who doesn't necessarily even need that much background and the context of both of these religions, she just knows that it just doesn't really end in anything good. And we see her go to temple with her grandmother. We see her go to like I guess it'd be more like like church with her her black friend. I forgot her name. I do apologize, but she was like, oh, she's like, yeah, like I had a good time. She went to temple. She wanted to spend time with her grandmother because she's very close with her. So she just kind of wanted to experience both walks of life. But the fact that she's 11 years old and she knows that, like, hey, if my parents are fighting over something this silly, like, this just doesn't make sense to me. Like, she's highly intelligent for her age. The fact that's very impressive for someone her age to be like, hey, I'm 11 and even I can see just from like a single experience that's, people can, get carried away with that type of thing. And it's like it's like the Tampa Bay and was Maple Leafs. Is it Toronto Maple? I don't know. I forgot.
You're not putting
the
my
Toronto
team
Maple Leafs
against
and
my other
the
team.
Tampa Bay Lightning thing. Something.
Terrible.
Yeah. I don't watch hockey. I've been
got
to
the
one
hockey
hockey game.
reference.
I've been to one hockey game. One. I know. It was like it was like a month ago or something like that. So it's, yeah. I mean, I watched the Mighty Ducks. That's like as close as hockey as I've ever gotten. Like the cartoon Mighty Ducks, not like the, the good stuff. Yeah. Yeah. It's hockey centric. But really quick, let's move on to our next segment. I just wanted to, just throw out a few recommendations for anyone out there who's either thinking about seeing this movie or who has seen this movie and is looking for other similar female-centric coming-of-age recommendations and was asking you, Amanda, if you had any that you'd like to share.
Oh my gosh.
Time
the
is
first
a ticking.
one.
No, I'm kidding.
Like, no, there's so many, but the one that just sticks in my head forever and ever is literally Mean Girls. I think that it is the best one for going into like high school. I think it shows the cliques pretty well because I went to a very cliquey high school. So there was that. You saw the popular girls, and then you saw what a young girl would do to become popular in that journey. And like it's a bit risque for the time that it did come out. Like this is like early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
So it's really just it's questionable what they did sexually in in that movie, but it covers all the bases. And the cast is phenomenal, but it's more so like you have to learn about how unique you are and then just use that as your strength instead of trying to be something you're not. So I think Mean Girls is really important. I also think if we're going to go way back, there's like 16 Candles and Pretty in Pink. John Hughes does a great job. And I do want to say one of them because I know it's kind of like male centric, but the women in American Pie are really well written. They're sex positive and they actually openly communicate about their sexual experiences. So I think that like American Pie is like, it works twofold. So those are the ones
I
that
agree.
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. I obviously outside of The Edge of 17, if you haven't seen that movie, definitely go watch it. It is freaking amazing.
Good.
I was going to say 8th grade. It was the 824. Juno, for sure. I would even throw in Greta Gerwig's Little Women as well, because that is very...
I was going to say Little Women, yeah.
Oh, were you? Yeah. No, I'm kidding.
Even Lady Bird, if we're going to go Greta, that's another one too.
No, seriously. I mean, heck, we might be able to throw Barbie in there too. I'm just joking. I don't know. Barbie's going to be awesome, though. I'm very excited. But yeah, those are a few. I'm not sure. Well, Perks of Being a Wallflower is, I don't know if that's, it's been a while since I've seen it. I don't know if that's necessarily female centric, but it's, I guess you could say it's gender neutral, you know, no matter which one altogether. But yeah, those are just a few I just wanted to kind of throw out there. Unfortunately there's a good amount, but there isn't at the same time. It kind of like, it kind of sucks altogether.
I like Ella
Diary of a
Enchanted
Teenage
too.
Girl. Oh yeah, Ella Enchanted.
That's
Diary of
Ella
a Teenage
Enchanted's
Girl.
good.
Yeah.
Princess Diaries. Like I know that we don't look at it as a coming of age, but like that's another one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I would throw in yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, Perks too. Yeah, Perks
Yeah.
of Being a Wallflower, you're gonna say, right? Yeah.
Is that what you're
I
going
think
to say?
Clueless works too. Clueless is like one of my ultimate favorites. That one's good too.
I've only seen that movie once, but I need to watch it again. I mean,
Nice.
it was at a friend's house. I was like, yeah, let's watch it. I mean, like, I know what happens. Like, I think it's a good movie. It's just been a while. Plan B. Did you ever watch that movie?
No, but I've heard a lot of things about it. Yeah.
It was on, wait, no. Oh my God. Was it Plan B? Yeah, I think it was. It was the one with Barbie Ferreira and Haley Lou Richardson. Maybe that wasn't Plan B. Unpregnant. That's a good one.
I like that one too.
And also, there was another one called Sometimes, Always, Never, Rarely, Something.
Never,
God.
rarely, sometimes. Oh, I know which one. Never, rarely, sometimes, always.
Yes. Always. Yeah, never, rarely, sometimes,
That's
always.
A dark one. That's a.
It is a dark one.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's more on the I guess American Pie side when it comes to maturity. But yeah, Plan B is another good one. Yeah, content. But yeah, I'm Pregnant's very good as well. I really enjoyed that one for sure. I just wanted to name off a few just to kind of give a shout out because we don't really see a lot of them. I mean, obviously you have there's a lot of male ones out there. But there definitely is. But I like more of the, either like gender neutral or female centric just because we don't see a lot of those altogether. But yeah, just wanted to throw a few out there for all of our listeners. If you are looking for other movies to watch, again, if you've seen this and you're like, man, I can't get enough of this, female coming of age stuff, wanted to kind of throw those recommendations out there. So let's get into our final thoughts and our ratings. So Amanda, I'll pass it back over to you. What are your final thoughts and ratings for Are You There, God? It's me, Margaret.
That was the perfect way to say that title. I just wanted to let you know. I love this movie. I wish I had this movie growing up because I had to watch John Hughes films. I had to watch, American Pie growing up. I didn't have that middle ground where my preteen self was either going too sexualized or too wholesome goody two shoes not teaching me anything. It's one of it was just a weird balance of what I was watching. So this is the perfect in between. I hope that Judy Blume continues to have her books adapted because her books are really important. If you haven't watched Judy Blume Forever, which is her documentary, which is now on Amazon Prime, it just came out last Friday, and I watched it at Sundance, you will really appreciate everything that she did for young kids. People are still writing her letters today because they found, her books to be so deeply personal. And we just need more of that energy where they treat children with minds and that they're really smart. And to not think that they don't know what the hell's going on in their own household or to their own bodies and that they have their agency. I think that's really important to promote right now, and that's what this movie does. The cast is phenomenal. Rachel McAdams hasn't been this good in a very long time. She's so good. Kathy Bates is a superstar, and I love her. I want her to be my grandmother. Yeah. She's amazing. And Abby Ryder Fortson? Yes, Abby Ryder Fortson. My Lil Peanut... has grown into such a beautiful young actress, and I'm really excited for her to do more things because she was holding down the fort as a lead. Literally just so happy for her.
She was.
So I'm excited to see what else she has next. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 4 out of 5, so 4.5 that. So it'd be a 9 out of 10. That would be my
Our stuff, when it comes to our review thing, everyone's like, okay, what's the review scale? I'm like, you can do whatever you want. No, it's it's
gold
totally
stars.
fine. Gold stars all together. I think that's a nice way to review this one. I gave it 4 gold stars out of 5 on Letterboxd because It was just great. Like, it was so funny when it needed to be. It was serious when it needed to be. It did not overstay its welcome the entire runtime altogether. We got to see a little bit more of the inside of Margaret's grandparents. We that was like very shocking that we actually got that much into it. They didn't really feel like, just like throwaway characters. Everyone played their part well, especially the teacher, which was really, really awesome. And yeah, it was a great time. And like Amanda said, I think every young woman should go see this. I think every guy should go see this as well, because it is just a hoot and a half. And you'll learn so much stuff. And it's like, again, we've been through this in health class. No one should be cringing and like, like the teacher was in the film when they're like, oh, we're going to learn about the female body. And then he just like dips out. He was like, okay, that's like from his perspective, I totally get it. But like, all right, you're going to be, whatever. But yeah, I adore this movie. I would definitely own this on Blu-ray, add it to my collection. Lionsgate, if you're listening, just, send that copy my way.
What a plug.
All together.
What a plug. Send me one too while you're at it.
Yeah, exactly. Just give us some nice free copies there. I will be forever grateful. But I'm going to pass it back over to Amanda and say thank you for joining me on this podcast journey. And I wanted to take the time to let everyone know where they can find you on the internet and what you have coming up next.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. This is a really special conversation. I have to admit, we got in deep. We talked about so many things, and this movie's really, really special. So I have Peter Pan and Wendy. My review most likely will be up on Friday on my YouTube channel, Candid Cinema, and my website, candidxcinema.com. I have Saint X, which is on Hulu today, actually, when we're recording this. So it's Wednesday. It was good. It was a good time. It was a really interesting mystery. But yeah, I think that's all I have coming up so far. And then we have Guardians next week.
Oh, God.
I'm nervous as hell, but yeah, I'm really excited for it at the same time. But you guys can always follow me over at AMX ND Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd.
Oh, see, I got it twisted around. I said,
you got
okay,
it.
yeah.
You got it. It just rolls off the tongue eventually.
But yeah, all of Amanda's links can be found in the episode notes below of this episode if you want to check out her work for sure. And again, Amanda, thank you so much for coming on. It's always a joy having you on here, regardless or not if you like BBS, but, we won't talk about it. We actually haven't talked about that in a very long time, actually. It's been a very long time.
It's almost like I don't want to argue anymore.
I'm just messing with it. Yeah, no, you're totally good.
I know. I'm joking.
Right. Yeah.
I'm joking.
But... And that is a wrap on today's episode. If you like what you heard on today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform of choice. And make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Optix. That is Optix with an X. And as always, make sure to share an episode of our podcast with a friend, whether it be your mother, your brother, or your significant other. Make sure to share an episode of the Film Optix podcast with a movie lover in need. And now let's take a sneak peek at what's coming up next on the show. So we have our Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 review. Will be dropping, I think, the week before it hits theaters. I don't know what else is coming out in May. I'm totally blanking right now. I think The Little Mermaid at some point. I think that's May.
26.
I don't know.
26.
Is May 26? Is May a dry month? Is that more of a dry month now?
Hang on, I have it on my. Hang on, we have Guardians, Book Club, The Next Chapter, Fast X, and then Little Mermaid. That is not an empty month. What is wrong? That's not
I'm
empty.
just saying. I'm for everything that's coming on from like April and March, like. I feel like this is a bit dry on my side. Fast 10, I'm not very excited for, but
No.
No. I'm like, of course.
No,
Of course, it comes on my birthday month, but hey, it is what it is, I guess. It's fine. But what you can listen to right now on the show, you can listen to our Evil Dead Rise spoiler-free review, as well as our spoiler-free review of the first 3 episodes of Love and Death that will be hitting HBO Max, I think tomorrow, as of April 27th, as of this recording on the 26th. And you can listen to our The Mandalorian Season 3 review that is full of spoilers. We talk about the entire season as a whole. And you can also check out our All-Star Superman review that is tacked on to our Mandalorian Season 3 review. So with all that said, thank you all for listening. And remember, if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. I'm Christian, and that was Amanda signing off. And we'll see you guys in the next one.